My name is Samantha Jenkinson. I'm the Executive Director at People with Disabilities WA, and it's my pleasure to welcome you here today. Now, I just need to do a little bit of housekeeping to start things off.
And just a reminder that this event's being run by essentially a number of small not-for-profit groups, specifically for peer groups. So please be patient with us if we haven't got everything right. So I'd also now like to introduce to you the lovely Corina Abraham, who is just coming up onto the stage now, who is a local elder and has agreed to welcome us to her country today for our conference. So I'm going to hand over to Corina now.
Thank you. Kaya, hello. Kaya Nyunakuk Wanju Nija Nyunga Buja Bibbleman Buja Young Jerpen Young Court Jerpen. Happy to be here today amongst you all, to welcome you all to my country on Bibbleman Buja. We are originally known as Bibbleman people throughout this southwest region of Perth, Western Australia, but sadly assimilated as one as Noongar over the many years since colonisation. I'm a local Bibbleman York in my community, and I'm an elder, sadly, in my immediate family, as my mother was the only child and sadly my grandparents are both deceased. Therefore, being an elder at such my age, I'm only 41, within my immediate family, is not only an honour but is sad because, you know, like I'm visioned here, disabled, you know, bound to my wheelchair at most times. I suffer chronic disease, chronic diabetes, chronic heart disease and end-stage renal failure. I'm at the end of my life at 41 years of age. My only option is palliative care when I've had enough of home hemodialysis. So, you know, when I look at disabilities and when I look at chronic disease, and especially myself as a Bibbleman Yorga, within First Nations woman within my country, and, you know, dealing with these chronic diseases which were introduced to many of my people as I couldn't escape it. It was hereditary within my families due to the early days of colonisation, as I'm a direct descendant of the Pinjarra massacre, which occurred in 1834. Right here where we meet, on the bottom of Kings Park, which is Kings Park is up the back of us, just up here, was a special place for many of my people. One of my main ancestors, King Winjan, he was actually a king of our tribe, actually based down in Pinjarra. So he covered a very large area right throughout Bibbleman Buja. I'm recognised nowadays as a Wajak Noongar within my community, but I'll always keep on the fight with what my ancestors fought for, maintaining the truth of what this country means to us, connected as Bibbleman people. But suffering the chronic diseases that I suffer and living with the disabilities that I live with, being clinically blind in my left eye, I can see you all sitting there, but I can't zoom in and see you one by one. Minimal vision in my right eye. I have an amputated toe on my right foot. I have several, you know, sufferings. I nearly lost my left leg last year due to an amputation with suffering vascular disease as one of the chronic diabetes complications. So, you know, being not only Aboriginal, but also suffering the disabilities I suffer, you know, I'm greatly disadvantaged amongst our community. And I've had many of my family, many of my elders suffer for many years in regards to the disabilities that they suffer, whether it's their carers or whether it's their family. You know, when you look for that support and the assistance out there when you're struggling with disabilities and living amongst our communities nowadays, it's gotten very hard. But, you know, really it gives me pleasure to be here amongst the inaugural Peer Connect Support Groups WA conference in bringing everyone together, because that's what's very special within my culture, is the coming together of people, is connecting together dealing with the one issue, dealing with the one problem, standing together in unity and solidarity to move forward, to help each other. And I can see this is what today brings about, you know. Many of my people have suffered and many of our communities still suffer. But suffering our disabilities alone out there in today's society, you know, we always need that shoulder to lend a hand, to cry on, and just that support to get by. My husband, he's from the east and west Kimberleys, up out of Broome, up in the north corner of our beautiful state. And many of his elders don't have the resources that we do down here. So many of my old people that live amongst our communities out throughout the desert, because not only am I Bibbulmun Yorga, but my family connect through the Pilbara, through the Gascoyne, right through to the Wongatha region, which is down from Esperance up through to the Tanami Desert, right through to the border of WA and South Australia and Western Australia. My family covers such a large extent. So being able to be there and continue that sport, because my professional background prior to my disabilities, you know, coming and affecting me at such an earlier stage, as I've suffered diabetes since I was 17 years of age. So it was hereditary in my family. I couldn't escape it. And when I talk about the conditions around hereditary diabetes, you know, it's astronomical as to how this disease has implicated many of my Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, because it's shortened our life expectancy at such a greater rate than non-Indigenous people. So I feel privileged in coming here today, welcoming you all to our beautiful country. We share together in unity, we share together strong, and hopefully everyone enjoys today. I did have my one of my cousins with me who talks more fluent in our language, our Bibbulmun Noongar language that we carry on today. But because of assimilation, my tongue still can't get around my own language at many times. But I still have my culture, my language, and my family is always strong, and connection to country is always strong within my heart. But I'd like to thank Susan and Sam as well for inviting me today. And also Wendy Wright, she's a part of our First Nations Disability Network Corporation. We're actually in the process of starting up, being able to have a corporation help and assist us Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people out there, because, suffering with disabilities, you know, it's a journey that we strive on our own. I could be sitting home, laying down, you know, thinking, being down and out on myself, enjoying this beautiful cold weather at home instead of out here. But, you know, I use my little bit of energy I get, my motivation that I still have within me to continue that fight that I've started many years ago, working and supporting my community. I've worked for government for many, many years, since leaving Year 12 in 1994. I'm a cook by trade. So being able to work towards dealing with the social injustices that my people face on a day-to-day basis, and to continue that work within health, justice, Department for Communities, you know, our Department for Aged and Disabled, being there as a spokesperson, a part of our community, helping to try and make this change so that we, as people living with, you know, chronic disease, disabilities, whether it's a part of NDIS, in which I am, and not exactly working for me at the moment though, because I suffer health disabilities. Therefore, health disabilities, you're not disabled in NDIS's sense unless you're clinically blind or permanently in a wheelchair. And that's the hardest thing, because we still need the assistance a lot of our other sisters and brothers need, and that extra support, because, you know, our journey is always going to be difficult throughout life, because, you know, it's glad to see a little ramp here today to make it easy for myself. But, you know, out there in society, people seem to forget about us that suffer the many disabilities that we suffer. And, you know, even suffering the loneliness of suffering your disability alone, because I believe that's one of the worst things ever, because, yeah, you know, you need to be supported, you need to be, just have that shoulder to lean on when you need a talk and a yarn in regards to just having that support. But yeah, just like to thank everyone, and especially those for welcoming and inviting me here today and sharing my story and journey, and welcome yous here to our beautiful country, Bibbulmun Budja.
Thank you very much, Corina, and thank you for welcoming us to the country here. It is really important that we have peer groups that people from all different types of life can connect with. So we've been really proud to support the First Peoples Disability Network trying to happen here in WA as well.